So, are we back? Finally, I can see myself again. There's connection here. So I waited a couple of minutes for everybody to join us back in. Just quickly, if you don't mind, say hello. Just hello, so I can see the ones that I was talking to are all back online here with me. Just put a note in, just a hello, that I know that you guys are there. There we go. Brenda, thank you. Asma, okay. So I want to see if everybody found us back. Okay, great. Thank you. So as I was saying, so all that actions led to experience, and the experiences led to knowledge, and the knowledge was recorded in the memory, and memory became our consciousness. And from that information stored here, a new thought was born. And that new thought by itself has the pictorials that comes from all that knowledge that was stored in the memory, in the consciousness. Otherwise, the material process by itself, having had no action, experience, knowledge, and recording in the consciousness, doesn't give you the pictorial that you're talking about. It becoming, how do you imagine that thing? You have no knowledge of how it looks, whatever it is that you even conjured up, without having any basis for conjuring it up. If it came to you, that's not your material process. It is a material process in a way, but it's a transient thoughts. That a thought came, which is, again, has some kind of a pictorial that communicates with you through that. A thought is an emotion. And that business of thinking comes from all these that we just discussed. So not necessarily that material process, well, although it's a material process, to turn it into thought or emotion, but doesn't necessarily mean that we can actually, at least I can't, turn that thought into material as I wanted to, like thinking about the, bicycle tire, and turn that into actual material. I don't know if I have understood or been able to be helpful to shed some light, or maybe create some points for you to ponder on. But anyhow, that's what I could respond to in your question. Now, let's see what we have here. All right, guys. We're looking for more questions. Are we so quiet right now? What happened to us? All right. We have about 10 minutes, guys. So if you have anything on your mind that you'd like to discuss, whether it's about your relationships, your breakup, matters of thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, and ego, throw it in, and before we can say goodbye, and hope to see each other again next week. Next week, again, hopefully on Saturday, we'll have a live talk on my own Facebook page, which you already have the link up there, Mind That Seeks Truth. And on Sunday, hopefully, we'll have another live talk right here, numbers 96 and 97, or 97 and 98. Powell says, why do I keep mistaking infatuation for love? Well, because the first thing that you see of the other person that you are looking at as a mate or an interest to get to know is her physical being. And that physical being communicates with your program in your genes that is attracted to that gender. Whatever your inclination is, whatever your gender is or your interest is, the person that you're interested is programmed. That gender is programmed in your gene to be interested in. And therefore you react to that primordial interest, the physical interest, the program for procreation, that program of intimacy. Now, that's not love. That is simply an invitation to get to know each other, to bond. The bonding takes place in the consciousness level. And most people don't spend any time or interest to bond on consciousness level. And therefore they wonder why their relationship didn't go anywhere. Because it was all based on a physical intimacy and the programming in the gene for procreation, for intimacy, which is all a short-term program. Like, as soon as it's accomplished, there is nothing else to bond, to continue building a relationship just because you were interested in someone physically. There is nothing there to want to build a relationship with, other than the fact that you were experiencing comfort or some kind of a satisfaction from a pleasure, fulfilling your desire, fluffing your ego, that you got something, you're more now because you had this event. But there is really no substance that connects what makes you tick and what makes that person tick, which is all in the consciousness, having been able to come to understanding or communicating or compatibility or harmony, because they never really went that far. And therefore, there is no love when two people are basically see each other, are introduced to each other. It's all physical attraction. And anything that comes further and develops into further is based on how you guys try to bond on consciousness. So you just gotta understand that you cannot mistake infatuation with love if you understand how this whole thing works. And every time that you see someone that you feel, oh, I'm in love with her, that's pretty much lust, because you're programmed to have that for the reasons that the nature saw fit to create that gene and programming into you to be interested in your opposite gender, and for procreation and the intimacy to create that security, feeling of security in you. So I hope that knowledge will help you not to make a mistake or not mistake the infatuation with love. Love always comes later when you bond on consciousness level. Everything else is imitation to love. Now, Ashutosh says, sir, can you discuss something about your book, Me, My Psyche and I? Me, My Psyche and I, the best way to discuss it is if you go on my site, mind@6truth.com, and you click on the books, and then you see the books, you click on the Me, My Psyche and I, it opens, and you can take a look at the table of contents, what articles, what things have been discussed in there, what topics have been discussed in there. Then you can click on the pages, it flips over and shows you to read a sample chapter that is there for you to see how you like it. That book has lots of little interesting things in it. By looking at the table of contents, you will get to know more about it. But I enjoyed writing that book. I like that book. There are lots of interesting things in it. It's something that you don't have to read it all together. It's not a story. The different pieces and parts of different topics that, depending on what you're facing with or what you're in mood for, you can sit down, have a cup of coffee or tea, and enjoy that chapter. Maybe 3 pages or maybe 10 or 12 pages, depending on what the topic is. Short chapters. And you will enjoy lots of interesting things have to do with thoughts and fear and consciousness and so on, and have to do with mind and meditation and how to stop time and thought and time and all these wonderful things that you can be the judge of that yourself by looking at the book. Valerie says, can you be in love with 2 people the same way? Okay. That's more like, can you be in trouble than can you be in love? Well, I don't know if you were a guy, it would be easier, because they would think the lust that they have for a girl is love, and they can be lustful for as many women at the same time because it's in their gene. They're programmed to seek that out. That's not really necessarily in their control. They're attracted to that programming. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's how one can understand how guys could think they're in love with 2 people, but that's pretty much lust and not love, really. To be in love with 2 people in the same way, it's rather unusual and reasonable, because then you would have had to have the same kind of amount of time spent with each other, same kind of environment, same kind of experiences, same kind of stories, same kind of interaction, same kind of negotiation and environments that you meet and you interact. And it's not possible to do the same things the same way, in exactly the same way, with 2 different people at 2 different times. Because even if you do the same thing that you did with this person, the activity on that day, it would be on a different day. The whole aroma of the air, the flow of the air, the sunshine, the light, everything is different. So it can't be. So all these would affect that kind of a relationship and the kind of love that you would be hoping to be the same. It can't be the same. They each will have their positive points, strong points, and the weak points. But because the consciousness of each person is put differently based on what we discussed, how they're grown up, where they've grown up, which street, which place, what dogmas, what rules, what society, what community, what traditions, what religions, what all the other things that have been exposed and have different consciousness, each one of them. So you're interacting with 2 different consciousnesses, but you're expecting to have the same kind of responses and experiences with them. It's impossible. So you can't really be in love with 2 people on the same level, on all levels, as you are in the other one, because their consciousnesses are different. Your consciousness and their consciousness would be interacting in different levels and differently, because you can't, they won't have the same consciousness. Therefore, you can't expect to have the same kind of interactions with them both in the same way. It's like just not possible. They're 2 different people. So your reactions and interaction with them would be differently in many different ways. So it can't be exactly the same. I don't think it can be. One could be better than the other in some ways, and the other ones could be better than the others. You can like somebody's certain behavior, or interactions, or a way of being more than the other one, and like this person's certain other ways of being and interaction and mentality more than this one. That's possible. But you can't say you like everything about this person and everything about this person that is exactly the same, so you love them the same. No. You can love certain things about this person, certain things about that person. On that basis, you want to say you're in love with both of them. Well, okay, but you're not in love with the whole entirety of both of them. You're in love with the fragment of this one and the fragment of that one. Well, if that's the case, you can be in love with 100 people, because each have certain specialties and certain thing about them. One has more money, one has better looks, one has better intimacy, one has more sportish, one has everything, all of it together. I don't know. It's just a little bit wishful thinking. It's a recipe, more recipe of being in trouble than being in love. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Now, Cynthia says, hi Cynthia, why does meditating make things move when I think about it? As this kind of, it doesn't. Your experience in whatever meditation you're doing does that, but meditation doesn't do that. At least not the ones that I do. So that is your personal meditation, or personal experience in the type of meditation you're doing. Maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe you're not understanding it. Maybe who taught it wrong. Maybe you learned it wrong. Maybe you're too active in your mind when you're meditating. You haven't learned how to meditate. I think it wouldn't hurt if you had a chance to take a look at the meditation chapter. It's a pretty involved, interesting, and fulfilling, elaborate chapter about meditation in Me, My Psyche, and I, the book. And of course, the e-books, everybody knows that the books are pretty expensive. I know that, but because they're heavy and lots of pages and shipping costs all around the world, and the shipping is included in the price of the book. So that's why I turned all the books into e-books, and then I knocked the prices down to price of a couple of cups of coffee or tea. It's like ridiculously cheap. Why? Because there is no economic agenda in the e-books. I want everybody to have a copy, and everybody just kept telling me they want to have a book, but the books are expensive. They're paper, or when they were e-books, they were like $30 or $25 or $34, and so I knocked them down to like, I don't know, $4, $5, $6. Just everybody in any currency. They were telling me that the currencies between US dollar and other currencies would make it difficult for them to get it. So I have made the prices with no economic agenda now, so that everyone can have a copy as a reference and keep it at your home. So you can simply get an ebook and see the meditation in there and see how that grabs you, and I'm sure you'll be fine when you know exactly how it's done. That experience that you're telling me, it's unfamiliar to me. Let's see what else we have here. Cookie says, hi there. How would you describe life and existence, life, I guess you mean, an existence in your own word? Well, you know, life as we know it are in two parts. Like we are made in two parts, mind and the body, and they each have their own rules. The body, of course, is the apparatus that facilitates the learning and experiences of the mind. Because if you ask the layman says, tongue tastes and legs walk. But in fact, mind tastes through the tongue, and mind walks through manipulation of the legs. So it's really all about our experiences coming through the mind. So we have an energy part which has to do with our mind, and we have the physical part, which is the peripherals that helps the mind to get around, do things, and experience things. Because without the peripherals, without our body, the mind is limited in its physical experiences. So the combination of the two, and without the mind, these peripherals, hands and legs and eyes, and they would be of no use. They don't know what to do. So the combination of it makes us. And then they each have their own way of nourishing themselves and growing and developing. And the mind has this ability through its understanding the communication with the nature's energy, the frequency that it enters. Especially when we sleep, it enters into a certain frequency, a certain state, where it can absorb charges of energy that is flowing from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe. That's why when you wake up in the morning, you're very vigorous and energetic. You can take on the world. But even if you don't do a thing and sit on the couch, watch TV all day long, don't spend any energy, at the end of the day you feel exhausted, because something through that day sitting on the couch have been facilitating your existence, and that's called ki. The Japanese call it ki, energy. Chinese call it chi, life energy. That's what flows through the universe from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe in all directions, up and down, right and left, front and back. And that all passes through you. And you absorb that energy, which gives you the power to do things. So you get up in the morning, you're vigorous through the day, you spend all that energy, and you feel exhausted. Then you sleep again, your mind enters into a state where it can accept and absorb that energy. You fill up like a battery of a toy. You know, you put the charged battery in a toy, and the toy works, and then it dies down because the energy is gone. Then you got to recharge that battery and then put it back in the toy, and it again works the same thing. Same thing with us. We recharge, we get up, we use it, recharge, get up, we use it. Now, there will be time that this battery doesn't take charges anymore. It cannot accept, it cannot be recharged. That's when we die. But the charge doesn't die. What we have produced and the charge itself, it doesn't die. So it just goes back to where all the charges were coming from. So that's a way to think that we'll pretty much never die, really. In a way, our experiences will help the universe become wiser, and through our experiences, universe is expanding and developing and becoming wiser. Now, this whole business of life, the way we see it, is due to understanding of how we can bring about more of this charge even without sleeping. And that's when you can enhance your progress, your abilities, your capabilities. You can run faster, you can play sports better, you can understand things better, your focusing becomes more powerful, because all this meditation that you can do is like the sleeping part, when you accept lots of energy from the universe, but you're now doing it without sleeping. When you sleep, you get lots of them, and then through the day you can just close your eyes for a second or two and just do a certain meditation. You bring more energy into you, and then you're more charged up for the rest of the day. So this is why the meditation is so good. It kind of gives you the boost that you need, and also brings more harmony between you and the nature's energy, and you become more one with the universe, with the energy, while you're awake, not just when you're sleeping. So the life as we know it is in two parts, mind and body, and the combination of the two, taking care of both of them, taking care of our body, what we eat, what we do, all the hazards, the stuff, the smoking and all that shouldn't be there. And good food, good water, good exercise, that's taking care of your body. And the mind, the meditation, relaxation, and taking the stress away and all that helps the development and health of the mind. So together, then we are able to move both of them in coordination. Like the wheels of a car, they're all working together. Not one go this way, one go that way, because we took care of the mind, but we didn't take care of the body, or we took care of the body, but we didn't take care of the mind. So it's like the wheels of the car, each going different way. But if we take care of both of them the same way and observe its principles and help them to grow stronger and become unified, then it's like a very balanced car, the tires moving together to the direction that you're hoping goes toward the destination that you have planned for yourself. I hope that would be something for you to think about as the kind of an answer I could provide today. Don Diego asks the most difficult question. I guess maybe the easiest question. Don says, what is the most important thing in the world? Life. That's why we're here. So let's keep that in mind. Being alive, being healthy, doing our best to recognize, appreciate the opportunity that we have here as living beings. The fact that millions have sacrificed for us to be here. You know, when mom and dad went on their journey of procreation, every time there are over, I don't know, millions, 300 millions, I don't know how many millions of sperms, and only one succeeds in the union with the ovary. And here you are. Out of all that sacrifices, you were born. So to begin with, we should recognize that we are the chosen ones. We are the lucky ones. To begin with, we have been born lucky. For we are here to experience this life. And we should not take it for granted. We should do our best. Take care of our body, take care of our mind, do our best, experience things, learn things, and use that whole philosophy and what I just explained as the reason for our happiness to begin with, and then expand on that and achieve what you want to achieve and experience in this life. So, on that note, Prince tells me it's 12:34, and I want to thank you all for being here and having this conversation with me. I appreciate the opportunity, and again, thanks for our great friends at Wittyfeed in Indore, India, having facilitated this opportunity at this Facebook page of the amazing things in the world. And I thank you for being here and sharing this time with me. And I love you all and hope to see you next week. Take good care of yourselves and to the others, and talk to you later. Bye for now.